Joining me now is Florida Congressman Brian Mast, a member of the House Foreign Affairs, Transportation and Infrastructure Committees. He's also a U.S. Army veteran who served in Afghanistan with honor. Congressman, thanks very much for being here this morning.
Always good to see you.
I want to get your take on this bill. It passed. Obviously, you and your colleagues now sending it to the Senate. It's expected to pass the Senate. What is your reaction to it?
I was not a big supporter of this bill for a couple of reasons. Let's start with it as a banking model. Essentially, Europe, EU is looking at America as a bank, except we're borrowing at maybe 3%. We're giving it away, not even lending it out. We're giving it away at 0%. We have to pay the bill on it later in the day. And probably the most upsetting part about this to most Republicans was this. We were being told it's urgent. They don't have another week. They don't have another month. We have to get this done immediately. Well, if you look at what Europe is doing, their commitment has been less. We've given them about 113 billion. They've given less than 100 billion. And those are just commitments by Europe. They haven't even allocated all of that. Right now, they're looking for us to infuse 60 billion from the United States of America immediately, while Europe's commitment right now is 50 billion over the course of the next 3 years. That doesn't sound like urgent, and it's in their backyard. And that's one of the big things that upsets us. When you look at the TikTok portion of it, I always tell people this: we're not looking to ban TikTok. We're looking to go out there and say, listen, if you're owned by a Chinese company that is actively trying to engage in espionage against the American people, then we're going to ask that you divest from China. We're not going to allow that active espionage against the American people. And that's a basic level of good governance.
Well, how is that not in there? I mean, that's another thing. Look, these were 4 bills in the House, and now it's in one package that the Senate will vote on. No amendments, got to go as is. And, you know, I'm wondering about this money that's supposed to go to Gaza, $9 billion supposed to go to Gaza. I've spoken with 2 sitting senators already, and they claim that the money will not go to Gaza and will not go to humanitarian efforts at all. In fact, it's going to go to terrorists, Hamas. Here they are, Rick Scott and Mike Lee with me over the last couple of days. Watch.
We know if money goes into Gaza, it's going to Hamas. They're still holding American hostages and American bodies. Hamas is. So I'm going to look at the bill. I'm going to see if we can separate it. I'm going to see if I can get my amendment on the bills.
Under no circumstances would I vote for the bill as passed by the House of Representatives yesterday. This is a really good deal for Ukraine and Zelensky. It's a really good deal for Hamas, which stands to receive up to $9 billion of this $95 billion aid package.
Now, just to be clear, I spoke with 4-star General Jack Keane earlier in the show. He laughed at. They said, absolutely not, Maria. The money's not going to Hamas. What do you think?
Yeah, I disagree with that. Again, if you send money through Palestinian territory, through Gaza territory, it touches Hamas. It's nearly impossible for it to not do that. Let's take this in a slightly different direction about where this can be problematic. I'm going to call it a Trojan horse. We know that the leftists, NATO, others, not NATO, United Nations, they don't want Israel to go into Rafah. They don't want them to finish this job. They want a ceasefire right now. So if you send in or allow the Biden administration to send in, let's say 1,000 aid workers, all of these trucks, pallets, workers, things like that, you are literally sending in the human shields that Hamas wants to come in there so that Israel can't take their military in there and finish this job, get American hostages back, get Israeli hostages back. That's the Trojan horse element I see to it.
Well, I'm glad you raised this because critics are very uncomfortable with the fact that the Biden administration and the leadership in the Democrat Party have been blasting Benjamin Netanyahu and basically, guilting him into not going into Rafah, trying to embarrass him on the public stage to stop and do a ceasefire, despite the fact that we've heard not a peep about the release of hostages. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu is slamming the reports that suggest the administration may, in fact, go one step further and cut off aid to an Israeli Defense Forces unit over accusations that they committed human rights abuses in the West Bank. Bibi is vowing to fight any sanctions, Congressman, but I want to know all of this negative rhetoric coming from this administration and the Democrat leadership, where Chuck Schumer got on the floor of the Senate and said we need new elections. Bibi Netanyahu no longer serves the people of Israel. Okay, how much did that empower these protesters that are nonstop on campuses today and yesterday and all weekend, attacking people, pro-Palestinian chants? How much are they empowered by this kind of rhetoric from this administration?
entirely empowered. It's not a vacuum. You take Chuck Schumer's comments. You take the Biden administration and Nancy Pelosi with 40 other Democrats on a letter saying we need to cut off all arms transfers to Israel. That includes things like Iron Dome that are knocking the Hamas rockets out of the sky and the Iranian rockets out of the sky. It doesn't happen in the vacuum of them not saying, hey, don't go into Rafah. We need to have a second state out of the people that we would immediately have to label a state sponsor of terror. All of these things line up in front of each other, and they empower these radical individuals at Columbia University, at other places, to go out there and think they have some kind of justification for their Jew hate that is supported by the Biden administration.
Of course they do. This is sick. Anti-Israel protests erupting on college campuses across the country. Look at the scenes in New York City last night. Columbia University stopping one of its professors from entering the campus to lead a pro-Israel rally, claiming it's because the school cannot ensure his safety. So we can't have any pro-Israel rallies, I guess, only anti-Israel. Patriots owner Robert Kraft says he's stopping all donations to his alma mater, Columbia, over this anti-Semitism on campus. Congressman, your reaction?
So let's look at something specific on the Columbia campus. We've heard them talk about how it's a closed campus. That's maybe why you can't have some members of the NYPD in there or others. If it's a closed campus, then we can believe that they know every individual, whether it's a student or a faculty member, who they are that's out there espousing this Jew hate, making an environment where Jews can't feel safe just for the simple fact that they're Jewish. And I can tell you that they should be able to look and say, okay, you're no longer going to be admitted to the school. You're expelled from the school, whatever. I doubt they're keeping track, though. Terrible,
really terrible. Congressman, we'll be watching your work. Thanks very much for being here, sir.
Wish you the best.
Hey everyone, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed the video, please click like and subscribe. I will be back on YouTube with more exclusive content, so stay tuned.